New economic data just dropped, and now everybody's asking the same questions. Is the Fed really ready for another rate cut, or did this flip the whole script? When inflation cools, but not enough, the Fed gets stuck in danger zone. Cut too early, prices spike again. Wait too long, credit tightens, borrowing slows up, and the economy hits the brakes harder than expected. What this new data really shows is pressure building on both sides. Let's check out this clip.
We got some new data on the U.S. economy. The producer price index ticked up slightly in September, but so did retail sales. So let's bring in Kristen Myers. She is the editor-in-chief of the financial website, ETF.com. Good to see you, as always.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about this. What are these numbers telling you?
So right now we are seeing inflation definitely come down just a little bit. There is still some stickiness. The numbers did tick upwards just slightly when we talk about that wholesale inflation. We also got retail sales figures that came out that was also released with that wholesale inflation. We saw retail sales tick downward just a little bit, still in the positive territory. So right now the Fed really has a pretty tricky job trying to figure out, do they want to tackle inflation or do they want to tackle the unemployment or the employment story when it comes to the U.S. economy right now?
So these numbers are from September. Does that give an accurate representation of what's happening right now today?
No. I mean, in a word, no.
Yeah.
We're 2 months delayed. We're not even going to get the October figures at
Right.
all. BLS said, hey, we're not going to do it. We didn't have staff around to really collect that information. And then the November figures, so for this month, we're not even going to get until about a week after the Federal Reserve actually meets to make a decision on rate cuts. So this is the most up-to-date information that they have. Fed Chair Powell did say in the last, rate cut meeting that they are actually using states data that wasn't necessarily impacted by that government shutdown, but that's not a complete picture. So this does make the Fed's already difficult job just a little bit harder.
So, and what about some of the numbers that we've seen from companies reporting earnings? I mean, there was a soft number from Target, but then there was a fairly good number from Walmart, which sort of seems to indicate that Americans are still spending.
Yeah.
How's the Fed thinking about that?
I mean, Americans are still spending. I mean, retail sales were up 0.2%. If I remember all the figures that I have rattling around in my head, that is still a slowdown. It was 0.6% in August. So retail sales are still moderating. And as you're completely right, we did see when a lot of these companies reported quarterly earnings that for the most part, they are still doing well. But a lot of companies have still raised a lot of flags and concerns about tariffs and about inflation impacting them going forward.
All right, Kristen Myers, always good to have you here. Thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it.